Coming up tonight on Fifth Third Business Beat, the success of the Cincinnati Works job placement program is causing other cities to take notice. 3 very different Cincinnati neighborhoods share a common concern. A local florist cultivates a plan to grow sales while supporting the United Way. Lucy May discusses the connection between rising unemployment and the local poverty rate. This woman smells success every time she creates a new fragrance. Todd Uterstad of Baker & DeBall explains how coaching can help a company. Fifth Third Chief Investment Strategist John Augustine has the weekly economic report. And Judith Phillips, CEO of Stand Energy, sits down with Doug Bolton for this week's Publishers Beat.
Fifth Third Business Beat is brought to you in part by Fifth Third Bank and Cincinnati Bell.
Hello, I'm Brian Patrick. Welcome to Fifth Third Business Beat for this Friday, May 1st, 2009. On page 1 of the Business Courier this week, the founder of Cincinnati Works is going on the road to share the nonprofit agency's success with other cities. 3,200 people have found steady jobs since Dave and Leanne Phillips started Cincinnati Works 13 years ago. The nonprofit job placement and retention agency has gained national attention for its work with our region's poor. The agency places about 700 people in jobs each year and has a one-year retention rate of 80%. Now other cities are interested in forming similar programs. Missy Jackson has been jobless since December and turned to Cincinnati Works for help.
They do everything within their power to help you go to an interview. They can even help you if, say, you don't have the proper attire. They have some resources that they brought to our attention that can help you get the proper attire. So when you go on that interview, you're wearing something that's appropriate for that interview.
Dave Phillips is now traveling to other cities to replicate the Cincinnati Works model with hopes to expand in 2 to 3 markets per year, with 5 or 6 new programs established around the country by the end of 2010. Activists in 3 diverse Cincinnati neighborhoods share a common bond. All are protesting Cincinnati public school plans in their communities. People in Hyde Park are fighting plans for a 4-story high school on Erie Avenue. Over the Rhine, residents oppose the demolition of a building near historic Rothenberg School. And in Westwood, city officials ruled in favor of the Civic Association, which is opposing a zoning variance to allow the district to put a new gym on the side of Westwood Elementary School. The school district is appealing that decision.
I've seen the work of the architectural company who's going to do this work, and while I'm not a architect by design, I know what looks good and what doesn't look good. And they built Carson Elementary along Glenway and Sunset Avenue, and that looks horrible, and we will not have that in our neighborhood.
School district officials insist they have reached out to local communities throughout the development and implementation of its facilities master plan. Activists say they want to make sure the new and renovated schools fit into the fabric of their neighborhoods. Cincinnati's Jones the Florist has a plan to grow its business along with contributions to the United Way. The new plan is called Send Jones, Live United, and it's the idea of Jones president David Fisher.
We have entered into a partnership with United Way that over the next 2 campaign cycles, we have committed, if we are essentially able to double our business, our local business and our wired out-of-town orders for Jones the Florist, that we would contribute as much as $250,000 to the United Way, a maximum of $125,000 for each of the next 2 campaign years.
The first Send Jones Live United campaign kicks off today. United Way staff says it couldn't have come at a better time. The United Way fell $1 million short of its fundraising goal last year. Back to the front page now, a story by reporters Dan Monk and Lucy May about how rising unemployment is driving more people into poverty. Lucy, we just reported on the success of Cincinnati Works. We met Missy Jackson. How is the rising unemployment rate affecting that?
Well, at Cincinnati Works alone, from March 2008 to March 2009, they've seen a 41% increase in the number of people coming to their agency looking for jobs.
So are there other agencies in the tri-state that are affected?
There are lots of them, both government agencies and private nonprofits. Hamilton County alone has seen an 18% increase in the number of people receiving food stamps, for example. And just the number of people going through the lobby of the Department of Job and Family Services has grown something like 24% in a 12-month period. At the Free Store Food Bank, the local food pantry, they're seeing a big increase. They've seen a 27% increase in beneficiaries at their Liberty Street location alone over a 12-month period. And United Way's 211 assistance line, for example, has seen more than double the number of calls from 2007 to 2008 for mortgage and foreclosure assistance, and those numbers just keep getting bigger this year.
So how are these agencies coping? I would imagine they're not getting any more money.
No, some are getting some more money. John Young at the Free Store Food Bank told me that his donors are very acutely aware of their needs, and their donations have increased, I think he said, by about 10%. That, of course, isn't keeping up with demand. The Greater Cincinnati Foundation has created a new fund called the Weathering the Economic Storm Fund. They've put together about $2 million in grant contributions that they're giving out to different nonprofits to help them keep up with demand.
Lucy, do local experts have any idea how many more people are living in poverty now than a year ago?
It's really a tough number to put a finger on because it's constantly a moving target, but a University of Cincinnati researcher that we talked to gave us a rough estimate based on the number of people who are out of the workforce, the lowering employment number, and the increasing number of people who are enrolling for Medicaid benefits. When you put that together, those numbers track pretty closely with poverty. He thinks it could be an increase of anywhere from 3 to 6% in the region, and that could be as many as 14,000 additional people living in poverty this year that weren't just a year ago.
Does anybody have any idea how long they're going to have to continue this, or do we see any hope that things will be letting up soon?
There are some economic indicators that some people see as hopeful, but really for the people in the trenches who are meeting the needs of the people who really need the help, they're just bracing for this to last. They're expecting that the need is going to be out there, and they don't really know for how long.
Thank you, Lucy May. Be sure to read the story by Lucy May and Dan Monk on page 1 of this week's Business Courier. Here's the Courier Greater Cincinnati Stock Index. We tracked the performance of about 40 local stocks compared with the broader market using the Dow Jones Wilshire 5000 Index. The market split last week. The local index fell around 4%. The overall market gained about 3%. Not every business in the tri-state is feeling the effects of this recession. One woman's internet-based business is growing every day. Patricia McGeever reports on a woman whose nose knows what sells.
Oh, that's nice. It's really nice.
Fabian Christensen appreciates a fine fragrance, especially one she makes herself. She's the owner of Possets, an internet-based perfume company. Here, she's mixing essential oils and resins with a vegetable carrier oil to make one of her signature scents.
You start off with an idea. I want to do such and such. Then I come down here and I've written down notes as to what I think should go into the blend in order to make it smell the way I want it to smell. When I come down here and I start mixing and I start putting different fragrances together, some to enhance, some to contrast with the main theme.
Fabian says Cincinnati inspires her, and her fragrances have names that honor places in the city, like the Observatory. She makes two kinds of perfumes, classic Possets that include man-made and natural components, and 100% natural Possets. Getting the scent just the way she wants it can sometimes involve a lot of trial and error.
And there are plenty of times when I start out and I think that I've just about got it and I blow it at the end. And then I come back and I've got to redo it about 5 or 6 times, and sometimes I finally get what I'm after, and sometimes I just take the whole idea and take it all apart and put it back together again, and it's a totally different animal.
Fabian has files of recipe ideas for fragrances she'd like to blend. She's already developed around 100, each one hand-mixed and given a passing grade from her nose.
It really doesn't come from my nose. It's the interpretation. It's what you pick up and put together up here. Of course, you need a good working nose.
Biggs and Whole Foods sell Possets, and Fabian says she has customers in all 50 states, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. And while you might think a buyer might like to get a whiff of a fragrance before buying it, Fabian says word of mouth has driven customers to her website, and business is booming.